Hi guys, welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you are new here. My name is Kyra, and not only am I in a journey in beauty here on my channel, I am a recovering beauty guru. For the last 6 years, I've spent all my money and all of my time acquiring everything that I wanted in the world of makeup. But now I'm trying to recover from that. I'm using what I have, I'm tracking what I have, and most importantly, I'm changing my mindset day by day to love, appreciate, and look forward to using the things that I already own and have already spent my money on in my collection. So one of the ways that I do that is by project panning, but today we're just talking about my everyday project panning routine, kind of my everyday makeup look that I do with some of my project pan items, as well as we're going to talk about throughout the video how does one manage project panning in terms of balancing use with the rest of our collection or not, or how do I sort of strategically use products in which projects in order to optimize my usage on the products that I have, especially when I have, for example, 2 foundations in 2 different projects. So hopefully that will be enjoyable to you. And if you haven't already, I'd love to have you subscribe, join the family, join the recovery with us, and have fun with your makeup. Use what you have. So with all that said, let's get into the look and our little makeup chat. All right, let's get started. I have for primer this little Ciate London Vitamin Boost Plumping Primer. My daughter did get this in her Ipsy bag, and this is in my year-long project pan, along with another primer that is a gripping primer. This one is hydrating and smoothing. I would say I mostly wear it on the lower half of my face, but then I, kind of spread it from there. It's a nice primer. I just kind of am stuck on the primers that I like in my collection, and so just wanting to move out a few of them that are not holy grails, I guess. Plus, I try to move out sample-y things in my collection as quickly as I can. From my deck of panning, I am working on my Rare Beauty Positive Light Tinted Moisturizer, and I did decant it into 2 of these little tiny Clinique thingies here. I was just morbidly curious about how much product was left in the bottle, because the bottle is opaque and doesn't show how much is left. I did weigh it, but I didn't have like a starting weight or anything to go off of. And I've just been applying it like this. Most of the time I apply my foundation with brush first and then go in with my sponge, but I don't know. I'm kind of in, not a hurry to use this up, but kind of. It is one that has sunscreen in it, and it is more than a year old, so I just want to get it used up. And I'm kind of hoping to have at least this one used up by the next deck of panning update. It is late April when I'm filming this, so I think I have a good chance of that. But I am also working on a foundation in my year-long project, so I'm trying to kind of rotate through them. And I thought that was one thing that we could kind of talk about, is like how I decide which products to use on a daily basis, both for obviously my enjoyment of makeup, but also balancing between multiple projects. And of course, if you have the same type of product like foundation in multiple projects, how does one, work on both and try and be successful with more than one? So what I kind of do is, leading up to when I know I'm going to be filming my update, whatever project is next, that is the project that I will kind of focus on the products for. For example, right now, my next update is going to be my project 10 uses. And so the products that I feel like I could feasibly hit goal on before the next update, those are the products that I tend to use. I'm gonna go in now with my NYX Can't Stop Won't Stop Concealer, which is in my Project 10 Uses. So this one is quite light and it is quite full coverage in comparison to the foundation I have on. So I'm just gonna put a little bit, and I've been applying this just with my sponge for the under eyes, and then over the upper lip and around the nose, I've been using a brush to, you know, spread it out and work it into the skin. My year-long project is only updating quarterly, and then so for that reason, I kind of have to, when I'm in between projects, work on those as well, or keep them in mind. And so, for example, when I am working on, let's say my Project 10 Uses is going to update next, I will work on those. But for example, if I don't have a foundation in Project 10 Uses, which I don't currently, I will sometimes just automatically reach for the stuff in my year-long project. That was my 10th use, by the way. So sometimes I'll work on my year-long project pan stuff, you know, in that way, but sometimes I pick my makeup by way of what's in my no pan left behind right now and what I want to use from that project. I do feel like I'm gonna have a lot of rollouts in all of my projects overall in May. Next is my Tarte Cream Bronzer in the shade Seychelles. This is not a favorite, and this is in my deck of panning. I have a goal to hit pan on this, and I feel like I'm always getting closer. Wait, did I just hit pan? Close, I think. Anyways, I feel like I should be getting close. I felt like I should have hit pan already by now, as much as I've used it in my project, but that's okay. I feel like products always take longer than we think they're going to hit pan, to finish. I like to just apply this one like this. I definitely got it in my hair. And then I go in with my sponge and just really blend it. So that's kind of how I rotate through my products in terms of, you know, what I will use when. Obviously, I like to have fun with my makeup still, and I still use other makeup, albeit not as much as my Project Panning products, but I do still use other makeup and enjoy my other makeup. I'm just not currently buying any makeup and enjoying what I have and trying to focus on some products that need to be used up for one reason or another, whether it be just age or what have you. I'm gonna use my Charlotte Tilbury pressed powder here to set my under eyes. This is pretty much the only way I've been using this powder, just because right now it is getting warmer in northern Colorado, and so it's not quite enough to keep my makeup set all day, at least not for my combo oily 42-year-old skin. Sometimes I'll use it for blending if something's not looking right, but I did add another powder to my 2024 project. You guys would have seen this powder if you watched my repressing video. It's my number 7 Lift and Illuminate Triple Action Translucent Finishing Powder. I did repress it in that video, and I decided the reason I repressed it was it had big pan in it, so why not try and work on it this year? This, again, is not the best setting powder for my skin type this time of year, but it's still early spring, or spring, something like spring around here, so I'm just gonna keep using it until it's not enough for my skin anymore. For powder bronzer, I'm going to very lightly use my Hoola bronzer from Benefit. This is in my deck of panning project, just for 20 uses. I am super close and wanting to be able to roll this one out, so I'm just gonna go ahead and apply a little bit. Keep trying to remind myself we are in spring, we are not in summer yet, so, you know, don't need to bronze quite as much as my hand wants to bronze me sometimes. But this is a lovely bronzer. I think I was a little overambitious putting this in for 20 uses in my intro, but hey, I'm a little out of practice when it comes to project panning, and this is my first year doing deco panning. There is a combo, a trio, if you will, that I've been using for my cheeks that I'm absolutely loving for spring, for life. And it starts with my highlighter from Deco Panning. I have the Gold to Hit pan on this Laura Geller Baked Gelato Swirl Illuminator in the shade Peach Glow. I love a peachy highlighter all year, but I especially love it for spring. Peach in general is just one of my favorite colors, and I've been using this like smaller highlighting brush because it's a little bit more targeted toward the center of the product. So hopefully, it will help me hit pan a little quicker than, a bigger, fluffier highlight brush. Also, this is a kind of lit from within type of highlighter, so I can stand to build it up a little bit. My other highlighter that I'm panning is a Becca highlighter, and I do not use this brush with that one because it is so glowy. For blush, I have two, and we're gonna start with the cream. A lot of times I will layer cream over powder, but this particular trio of products I like this way. And the cream blush that I'm working on right now is my Tower 28 Beach Please blush in the shade Magic Hour. My goal on this is just to make progress, maybe hit pan if I can. Definitely got a good dip going on in here, though this is not an update. It's going, we're progressing here. I did really sanitize this. I wanted to make mention of this. When you're going through cream blushes, if you do come across one that is kind of starting to smell funky, maybe a little bit like Play-Doh or crayons, I do recommend trying to spray it down with alcohol, rubbing alcohol, isopropyl alcohol, and then take, a cloth, like a makeup wipe or something that's not gonna leave a lot of lint behind, so maybe not a dry item, but I used a makeup wipe. That's what you wanna do. And once I had done that, I found that the smell really was not as bad. It was a lot better. So anyways, if your cream blush is smelling a little funky, maybe try that, because it seems to have helped with this one, and now I can get more use out of it. And then the last blush is my little Hourglass Mini Mood Exposure Ambient Lighting Blush. I am working on finishing this in my 2024 project this year, and I love this because the cream can make my skin look, brush hair, can make my skin look a little bit textured, but the ambient lighting powders in general, blush, bronzer, they are very smoothing on the skin. And this is kind of like a nudie, plummy kind of shade, a neutral shade for sure. And so layered over that Tower 28 blush, I just really enjoy it. And I definitely think I will be able to finish this blush by the end of the year. It is one of my favorites. It's definitely one I would consider buying the full size of, or at least another mini in the future. So from here, I'm gonna pop off, do my brows and eyeshadow primer, none of which I have in projects. And then I'll come back and we're gonna dive into my No Pan Left Behind, my Project Level Up palette, some singles that have gotten drawn into other projects, and we're gonna come up with a look that we love. We're back, and these are all the eyeshadows that I have in projects right now. I have my Charlotte Tilbury Eyes to Mesmerize in my deck of panning for 20 uses. Again, woo! I was feeling ambitious when I made that goal, apparently. And then I have my ColourPop Super Shock Shadow in the shade Sailor. It's got, honestly, it would go perfect with my shirt today. And I have that in project 10 uses. So as I've been rolling in my No Left Behind palettes, I also have my single eyeshadow collection from Sydney Grace in there. And so as singles have rolled in, I have put them in this little palette just with the goal to use them one time each. This one in the center here is Blue Mist from Sydney Grace, and that one is in Project 10 Uses. I'm not struggling with it, I just don't find myself reaching for it a lot. And then the other two are in my No Pan Left Behind. This palette that my daughter gave me from Ipsy, which is the Pear Nova palette, is also in No Pan Left Behind. Natasha Denona Gold palette is in No Pan Left Behind. And the Lime Crime Venus XL2 is also in my No Pan Left Behind. I was thinking about using this one today, but we just used this palette in my last Get Ready With Me. And then I also have my Huda Beauty Pretty Grunge is currently my palette for Project Level Up Level 1. So the shades that I have left in this palette to use are these three and then the whole bottom row. I think what I'm gonna do to start my look is go into my e.l.f. Primer Infused Bronzer. I have this rolled into my 2024 project pan. Not only do I like it on the face, but I really like this on the eyes, and I especially like it for blending and for like a transition shade. So the other thing I wanted to talk about is I have a tendency to laser focus in on panning and sometimes neglect the rest of my collection. It's one reason I have overall struggled doing social media. I'm an all or nothing kind of girl. Like, I'm either gonna do it and I'm gonna give it my all, or I'm probably not gonna do it. That's why I struggle with doing more than one form of social media at a time. Like when I was doing TikTok, I wasn't doing YouTube. Now that I'm doing YouTube, I'm not really doing TikTok. I am uploading the videos that I create for shorts on YouTube to my TikTok and my Instagram, but I'm not specifically filming or creating content for TikTok or Instagram specifically. And I do really get a lot of pleasure and a lot of satisfaction out of being successful with my project pans, which is also part of why I become hyper focused on the makeup and project panning. That's part of why I am trying to set myself up for success this year by doing projects that are fun, that are going to kind of have a little bit more turnover than like just my rolling project 2024, where I'm trying to either hit pan on things or finish things. I'm doing deck of panning to keep things fun. I'm doing Project Level Up for the same reason. I'm also doing Project 10 Uses specifically for that reason, because I do want to continue to cycle through other things in my collection besides the more long haul or long-term panning products that I have. In a lot of ways it's working. Number one, I'm rotating through not just my palettes, but even palettes that I really haven't been using as much. So I love that. And then I also love that I am or have hit 2 pans organically through No Pan Left Behind, but that's also part of why I introduced Project Level Up, because I do want to hit pans in my collection as well as rotate through my eyeshadows. I think for the outer corner, I'm gonna go into the shade down here. So yeah, those are the ways that I'm trying to reduce the chances of the rest of my collection being neglected if I do get hyper-focused on being successful with my panning projects, which there is absolutely nothing wrong with. That's not what I'm saying. I just have a very large collection. If you don't know, and if I didn't say it in the intro, I am a recovering beauty guru. I bought everything that I wanted and more in the last 6 years that I've been on social media creating beauty content. I mean, it did become an addiction to me. I like shopping, I like seeking, I like researching, I like reading reviews. And it's not that I can't still do those things, but I'm not going to do those things for makeup. I'm just not going to purchase makeup. I have a ton of makeup. If you haven't seen, I have my collection series is almost completely uploaded, but I have, you know, a playlist, which I can link below for you guys in case you're curious just how much I have. At this point, I really just want to use what I have and be a better steward of my collection. And to me, what that means is paying attention to what things I bought when and trying to use them up. Like the foundations, for example, that I'm working on are both foundations with sunscreen, and they are both older than 1 year. And those were specifically 2 of the, I believe, 4 that I specifically highlighted within my collection that I wanted to finish up this year because they are ones with sunscreen and older in the collection. Also, just making sure that more things are getting used in a year than possibly would happen organically by way of rotating through certain categories or working on panning certain products. So overall, that's the goal, is just to, now that I have all this makeup, right, and I've done a fair amount of decluttering to friends and family who can make, you know, good use out of those items, I am going to place on the inner half of my lid my Charlotte Tilbury Eyes to Mesmerize. This is the one in Marie Antoinette. That's how old it is. Now that I have all this makeup, how do I strike a balance? And so that started with a big declutter, like I said, so that things that weren't going to get used by me likely could get used and loved and even possibly used up by other people. And I could use the things that I like and that work through me in my collection. And now that I am where I'm happy with my collection, I mean, albeit it's huge, and I know some things will continue to expire on me. I mean, that's kind of the plan, is to just have better management of the products I already own, get good use on them, rotate through them. So I guess we really only used the one shade in the Natasha Denona palette. I thought about maybe using this one, but I think I really just want to show you the look that I've been doing with this ColourPop single here. And I think I'm just going to use my finger for this. This one is in my Project 10 Uses. It got rolled in. And this is just kind of an everyday, you know, look that I've been doing a lot lately. Yesterday, I did a similar look where I used the Hoola bronzer all over the lid, blended up in the crease, and then just used this as my lid all over lid shade, and it was really pretty. That's kind of where my brain's at with project panning. But I am definitely curious. I'd love to know what you guys do, how you guys do your panning shenanigans in terms of, you know, how do you balance panning with using the rest of your collection, or do you struggle with it also? So that was my 5th use on the ColourPop shadow, so we're halfway there. If I just wore it for the next few days straight, I'd probably just knock that puppy out. And my Charlotte Tilbury, I've used 6 out of 20 times. Just to use a shade out of our Pretty Grunge, my Pretty Grunge palette, I think I want to go in, I think I'm gonna go in with this dark brown shade down here called Hope, and use that as a little lazy liner on the upper lash line. Kind of flick it up a little bit, not really winging it, but we want to lift the eye, and then whatever's left on the brush, bring down on the lower lashes. All right, so lashes are curled. I'm gonna hop off of here and do liner and mascara, and I'll come back and we'll do a Project Pan lip. I'll BRB. Okie dokie, we are ready for lips, and today We're gonna also hit the 10 use mark on my MAC lip pencil in the shade Strip Down. Wow. I haven't even had to sharpen this one time, and this is the 10th time that I'm using it. So while they lack in other areas, wooden pencils definitely are a good bang for your buck. And I have to say, this shade has grown on me. Yeah, I did not like this shade, or I thought I didn't, when I rolled it in, or when it got rolled into Project 10 Uses. But I actually think I will grab for this on my own now, which is one of the other great things about project panning and kind of pushing yourself, not forcing necessarily, but pushing yourself to use things that you might not otherwise gravitate towards. I have two sort of lipsticky products in this in my projects right now. One is the Tarte H2O Balm sample, and then the other one here is this teeny tiny NARS Velvet Matte Lip Pencil in Dulce Vita. I think the H2O Balm from Tarte, which is discontinued, this is the shade Hang 10, but I do like this and thought I'll just use it up. I think that's really pretty. It's really natural. It's really easy to wear. And even though it's a tinted balm, it is somewhat longer lasting on the lips. I feel like it hangs on to the lips for a decent amount of time after application versus some other tinted balms that I've used. So my hair is doing a thing today. It was wash day, and this is our completed face of Project Pan makeup and kind of more of my everyday look that I've been going for lately. Hopefully I didn't ramble too much in the video, and hopefully I finished my thoughts. Sometimes I don't always do that. What are you project panning right now? Let's talk about what we talked about in the video down in the comments. What are you guys thinking? How do you balance project panning with using the rest of your collection, or do you need to figure that out? Let us know down below, because we can give tips and tricks to each other. I am not by any stretch of the imagination the most practiced project panner. I definitely take inspiration from other people and how they do things, and that's the great thing about the community, is that we're not out here competing against each other to get our reviews up first or anything like that. We're just here helping each other out, using what we have, encouraging each other to do the same. And then this is the part where I ask you to do all of the things. Subscribe if you haven't already, like the video, share the video, leave me a comment down below. If you don't know what to comment, you could just put I love project panning or I love makeup, and it really helps me out with the algorithm. And with all of that said, I hope all of your makeup days are absolutely beautiful makeup days, and I will see you in my next video very, very soon.